Hey everyone. I am so excited and so honored to let you guys know that I have been able to receive Ralph Tyndall's new release, which I'm holding in my hands, and be able to play with it before y'all got to see it. This has been just a dream for me when Ralph reached out to me to be part of an actual Instagram hop. So definitely get your butts over to Instagram right after you watch this video. Go through all of the absolutely amazing creators, including Ralph's, and see all of his new releases. And there's some super fun ones, not just Christmas. This one is going to be a little bit more Christmassy, but there isn't just Christmas. You definitely need to see the retro Game Boy die set. I can tell you all of the birthday cards for the boys are going to be made with that one. All right, so when I seen this set, I do not have his previous release, unfortunately. I need to get my hands on it. It has been sold out for a while. I'm going to see if it gets back into the shop, though. Definitely go look at Hero Arts. I'll have all the links below for you guys. But this is supposed to actually build off of his last release, which was a stage. He had a stage builder set with stencils and dies. You could like open the curtains. Absolutely fantastic. Like I said, you got to check it out. But this is to build off of it. So I can only imagine, hopefully they will get all of that back up at the shop. And this, I'm obsessed with these little rockettes, quote unquote, the little dancers. I absolutely love these little ones. They are so cute. I think I've colored them about 7 times at this point out of all of the cards that I've made with his release. So you're going to be seeing them a lot. But here I am just putting these down in my Misty. Now a great way to use this Misty is to either get a square piece of paper. This rectangle piece of paper also works. I did just cut an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper in half. And I am going to be stamping this out with Honeybees Intense Black ink made for alcohol markers. There's definitely other options out there also. And I'm going to be looking into some different options so that I can have a few different options for you guys. But here we go. This was a first use stamp, so it's always going to probably need a couple of stamps before it gets nice and accepting of all that ink. And then just spin your paper. And then that way you don't have to move the stamp. The stamp stays in the same position. And then I just flip the paper and also use the back of the paper. I am going to be making a mini slimline card. It's not exactly your standard slimline, but I always am an advocate of make whatever size card that you want. We can find an envelope that it goes into, even if it doesn't like fit the envelope perfectly. There's a little extra space. I will throw a little bit bigger than an A2 size card or something like that, or a little bit smaller than a 5x7 card into a 5x7 envelope and not have a care in the world. I also will throw square cards into 5x7s, as we do know that square cards are extra postage and generally end up taking more time to get to whoever you're sending it to. So I will throw those into a 5x7 card or envelope also, so that I don't have to pay the extra postage. All right, so we're going to get out those alcohol markers. I am using Ohulu Honolulu B markers. My favorite combination for like a Christmas red is our 8, our 180, and our 230. I am just using this as like the light is just coming right in on them. Of course, these guys are meant for the stage, so you can get pretty dramatic, but a lot of the space on these little ones it's pretty little. Like, I mean, even their shoes, I'm telling you, it was like one dip of the marker. I am switching over. I do not have the skin tones of the Ohulu markers, so I did switch over to my Spectrum Noir tri-blends for that, just because I do like the combination for their skin tones on there. And this is the Fair Skin blend, so I'm just using that marker to get to these. I will end up pulling some Ohulu markers to make a couple of different skin tones. I wasn't quite happy with the skin tones, but at least it gave me a little bit different because obviously every rockette is not, white. And I wanted a couple of different skin tones to round out my card here. You are going to see me just do one set of these girls as they are colored in the same exact way every time. And then to top this off, those hats, I think I used R80 and maybe a little bit of R8. I mean, let me tell you, like I said, there is not much room. There's not much room for their hair like I'm coloring right now. I think I pulled an Y9 for the hair just to give them a little bit of brunette/blonde. Let me tell you, there wasn't much. I'm being very brave right here and putting a little bit of gray shadows into their whites just to give them a little dimension and not pulling out that red. Whoops, I forgot to do this before I did the red. Do this before you do your reds. It's just smarter. Yeah, doing that. This will read, I know it reads a lot of gray right now, but it will read white once you get it to the card. All right, now I like a very black outline. So like I mentioned before, I don't move that stamp. And because I put every piece of paper into the corner, I can just push that back in, use my VersaFine, which is a very black. I think it's like onyx black or something like that. And bam, gives me just that crisp black line that I'm looking for. We are going to use these die cuts. And let me tell you guys, Ralph's die cuts with Hero Arts, I don't have too many Hero Arts die cuts, but they are so super close, guys. They're fantastic. I mean, there's barely any white space. It cuts out the space in between their little arms. I love them. Like, so good. The only thing that you do with extra close dies, you do just need to make sure that you're getting it right, because obviously if it moves a little bit in your die, then in your cutting machine, obviously you're going to cut through your images. So use that mint tape or, some washi tape and make sure those dies are down. All right. So when I seen these ladies, of course, I think everybody sees them in a line, of course. And I just, when I went to go look at some of the Rockette's images, I just seen them like introducing a sign pretty much like in front of like the marquee. And then he has these marquee, what do you want to call them? Like theater sign stamps in this release, and they are perfect. So you're going to say Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and Season's Greetings. So I am just setting up my scene here. I'm just showing you how I kind of just... I wanted to take the girls and see how much space I have. I am putting down these candy canes. I don't use the candy canes in the end. Again, I don't have his other release, so I couldn't put them on a stage. But I was like, how do I use all three stamps? See, here I am, like all three stamps. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I can have them like they're standing outside with the marquee up on the buildings, because his other stamp set in this release is, I don't remember what it's called. I think like City Sidewalks, I think, or something. But anyways, it is the stamps of New York City buildings, tall skyscrapers. It is a scene builder where you have, the sidewalks, you have the buildings, you have the line down the road. I'm telling you, absolutely perfect stamp set to build a great scene for downtown, like Chicago or New York, that type of thing. Big cities, maybe like even a Dallas. I don't know. I haven't been to a Dallas. All right. So here I am lining this up. You are going with me using these stamps first off, guys. So everything I did, I filmed it just so that you guys could see how I walked through it and how I did it for the first time. I am using linen ink from Close to My Heart. This is just what I have. You can use any ink. I do, recommend, like Simon says, saturated inks. They really meld into the paper and just spread type thing. You could use distress inks. Those are fine too. I don't know exactly how smooth you would get. But as you can see, I was like, ooh, this is not looking good. They're big stamps. And yes, I'm switching inks. This is just what I used to begin with for scrapbooking, and now that I'm into card making, they're just not the inks for me. And plus, obviously, a lot of us know that this company went out of business, so there's no more re-inkers and all that kind of stuff for them. So soon I will be switching over probably to the Simon Says saturated inks, but this is what we have to use for now. All right, so why I used the gray is first of all, I wanted it, this will definitely dry back too, guys. You'll see here in the end result that, as you can see, it's getting less and less splotchier. Having a little bit of texture on this, though, was absolutely perfect for me. They are buildings. They're not exactly smooth. Going over top of this, I did use VersaFine. This is probably the only thing that I would have probably done a little bit different. I would have just used a darker gray. I don't think that I wanted such a deep black, but it ends up working. It kind of also dries back because I did it on top of another ink. So I think it's fine. I am also using my waffle sticky mat inside my Misty so that it holds that paper down and in place. All right, though there are buildings. Absolutely love them. Now I'm going to mess with the orientation of this card again and just try and build. I'm literally just building a scene here. All right, so there we go. You've seen that. Now we're going to play with this marquee. I did this marquee several different ways. You're going to see, like, this is over a couple of days because I had to sit on it for a little bit and kind of think of different ways. So the marquee, I really wanted the little dots, which are supposed to be the lights, to be shiny. So I was like, okay, can I stamp on this matte gold paper from Simon Says Stamps and heat embossed it so that it stays, because this is obviously pretty shiny paper. It has that coat on it. And as you can see, like, it even wanted to stick to my stamp. And I'm like, I cannot pull this stamp up. And I had probably used my waffle mat too much and had a lot of anti-static powder on it like that. So I was like, okay, let's just put more anti-static powder so that my stamp does not stick. I was going to use it anyways. All right, so that worked. Then we are going to use VersaFine for the embossing ink. This is pigment ink. It will stay even more on top of the paper because this is very shiny paper, of course. So I'm going to stamp that down and then use Hero Arts Fine Detail Embossing Powder to emboss this so that I don't know if this would have dried at this point. So we're going to use this embossing powder or it would have taken a long time to dry, and I am very impatient and I would have not done that. So we're just going to use black embossing powder to get that black. Therefore, I can get the gold lights, quote unquote, the gold that comes through where the lights are supposed to be. This embossed pretty well. You do want to get your heat gun nice and hot before you go to the paper because it will warp. It is specialty paper, but this is, like I said, just regular Simon's matte gold paper. This is probably some of my most used paper in the Christmas time, pretty much. I love this matte gold paper. All right, so we heat and embossed that. I do not have the dies to the set. There are dies that go with the set, but I do not have them. But this was a pretty easy one. Obviously, it's just a box to cut out. So I wasn't too upset about not having the dies for this one. I was incredibly blessed to get his release in the first place. So I was like, yeah, this one is an easy one. All right, so I am going to stamp it again on white paper because what I'm looking to do is get the inside of that box. Again, I probably could have just cut and measured the box, but it was pretty easy just to stamp that and then cut the inside of that box out because I wanted that white to go on top of the gold. You're going to see here in a minute. So here I am. Now I'm going to cut out, and I am cutting literally right to that line of that embossed outline right there. very carefully, but also not hard at all. There you go. What you're going to see most of the time is that I never wait long enough for the pigment ink to dry. I always forget about this pigment ink not drying as fast as dye inks. All right. And so you're going to see that I get my little fingerprints all over this, and I'm like, oh, why am I doing this? But anyways, all right. So here I am. I'm just lining this up, there it is, having this Fiskars cutting. This is probably the only time that I like to have this cutter. I'm not a super fan of this cutter. I don't think that it cuts straight. You've heard my woes before. But I love it because you can get pretty detailed. Sorry, my head is going to come into here. You can get very detailed. You can get inside something and see where you're cutting and know exactly, you can just get really detailed. And it worked very well to cut out the middle. So all I wanted was that inside, pretty much, so that I could glue that on top. And then I'm going to use my mono sand eraser to get those fingerprints off, guys. I was so mad. And I'm like, whatever. I'm about to stamp over top of this, so it's all good. All right, so here I am gonna pull. Oh, okay, I was deciding how I was gonna stamp it. Did I want to stamp in red? Did I want to stamp in black? I ended up deciding I was going to heat emboss the inside also. So we are going to pull out Season's Greetings from this, because I just think that that's what the Rockettes would say to us. And stamp this down. I am going to use a Versamark, and then this is going to be a Ranger's Art red tinsel, I believe it is. I wish I would have had just red, but I guess the glitter makes everything more sparkly anyways, right, for this card, and all the more sparkles that we need. All right, so just repositioning this a million times. I don't know why on this. Don't know why I did that. Oh, I think it was because I was like, if I wanted to heat emboss it twice, if I wanted to stamp it twice, because I do find that this embossing powder, it gets thin. It doesn't stick all of that well, so it gets thin, and sometimes I like to double heat emboss it. I didn't trust myself enough to do it this time, so you're only going to see it once. All right, there we go. Pour that right over top. Ooh, so pretty. Look at all that. And I think it just gives it so good. It's so good, guys. It turns out so pretty. I am just using a vellum piece of paper because I am too lazy to walk upstairs and get a coffee filter. I really needed to probably do that. It's all good. We ran out at one point, and now we got them back again. And I'm like, I need to go up and do that. All right. We are going to heat and emboss that real quick. Here we go. Also, I just don't feel like this one gives the wow factor. In real life it does, but like on film, you can't really see it, melt. Not like you can do like gold and silver and all those cool ones, This one doesn't really like wow anybody. I did forget that I did try and pour that back on there real quick. Instead of trying to double stamp it, I poured it back on there while it was still hot. And most of the time you can get more to stick on there, which did. Also put away your embossing powder before you start your heat gun, so you don't create anxiety for people. I don't. All right, so we are going to move on with our sign and get that up there. So pretty. I was trying to see the glitter, but it just doesn't want to pick up. It's all good. All right, so there is the gold sign, and we're just going to cover up that inside of that gold, so it doesn't even matter. We just wanted the gold to peek out in those little circles to get, like, quote unquote, gold lights that are coming through there. And there we go. There is our marquee board, and I love it. I love how it turned out. I had practiced with this a little bit beforehand to like do lines like a marquee board. I just didn't trust myself on this one. I really wish I would have, but it's all good. We do other things. We do other things to make this funner. All right, there it is. It's all coming together. Oh, I did do some stamping. I forgot. I don't know what happened to that footage. I ended up putting the sidewalk stamp down so that it would help my little rockettes or my little dancers, be grounded. And then I took a Starburst stencil also in the back with that same linen ink, and I did that in the background to make a starburst behind my marquee. And I think that that just helped bring my scene in just a little bit. Again, I'm so sorry. You're also going to see that I did another scene up above. I tried the Hero Arts gold paste. I think that my Hero Arts gold paste is bad. It leaked all through the stencil. I don't know what happened. Maybe it was me. Maybe it was user error. But it didn't work as well, and I thought that it just took away from a lot of it, so I didn't use it, but you're going to see it up above. Like I said, I went through many stages with this. I had a thought in mind, and it wasn't coming together on paper, but it finally did, and this is the way it came out, and I'm loving this. Absolutely loving this. The girls are presenting the marquee. We are walking down the streets of New York or Chicago, and I'm loving it. So we're going to put this all together. Like I said, I also made another card with these girls. And when I think of New York at Christmas, I definitely think of these dancers. And I think of all of the marquee boards and all of the good stuff. So this was definitely my favorite stamp. I was also super excited that I could get all 3 stamp sets, onto one card. And play with them so much and make them all just come together like I think that he definitely had in mind. So that made me happy also. I think they just all played together so well. And yeah, I'm just so glad that I could find my vision actually came out on a card. That doesn't happen very often. All right, so we're going to just use our Barely Arts glue to glue everything down here. Love this glue. I don't have issues with it drying up, and it has that super fine tip on it. I did cut my card base down a little bit also, guys. So that's why I said it's not a perfect slimline card. I think I wanted it to come a little bit closer. I wanted those buildings to come a little bit closer. And then I did want it skinnier. So I didn't want so much space on my background. So you did see me cut off about 1/4 of an inch from the bottom and bring that sidewalk, illusion down, or crosswalk. That's actually a crosswalk, I think, down to the bottom so that the girls were standing in the crosswalk. All right. And that pretty much is going to wrap up this part of it. I do end up using the snowflake stamp from this kit. Ooh, a couple of legs didn't want to glue down. So you're going to see me just use a few more. I did feel like the background was just needed a little something more. So I'm going to pull out the stamp set of these girls. Yep. And there are some snowflakes in this one. And I'm going to just use the snowflakes in that linen color, that gray color, so that it kind of just falls to the back. But gosh, like I said, I could completely see, I need to get a hold of that stage set, because I can completely see these girls on the stage with the boxes in front of the curtains, or the presents in front of the curtains. I can see it. I can just see it. All right. So I wanted the snowflakes to go off of the edges, as you can see. So I'm just going to use some scrap paper if I'm going to go over one, and put those down. And then we're going to jazz this up with a few rhinestones. I think that rhinestones are perfect for the situation. We go, these are very little ones. I think I use like the teeniest 2 ones, teeniest 2 size ones, I should say. Here we go. Using my embellishment picker upper. That's not working very much because they wanted to flip over to the wrong side. Let me struggle with that. And I just put them around the sign, and I think I used a couple of them in the centers of the snowflakes. Yeah, I did put some of them in the centers of the snowflakes. I did remember that. And my last step is going to be to zhuzh up their little costumes. And I'm going to use a sparkler, a sparkle or a glitter water brush here on their little, on the little red part of their costumes. And there we go. And there's our card. I love it. I love how this turned out. And putting that red base on the back of it also, I think, just made everything come together. All right, here we go. You're going to see that, yes, we're just going to use one of these water brush pens that have glitter in it. I love these pens, and it lets you just add sparkle to wherever you would like. All right, guys, don't forget to head back to Instagram and check out the Instagram hop. Hero Arts is giving away 2 gift cards. I think they're $50 each gift cards. And again, I just want to thank Hero Arts and Ralph for inviting me into this Instagram hop. I was completely honored. Look at that sparkle. I was completely honored. And you will be seeing a few more cards coming up. Talk to you guys